In today's video, we're polishing and ceramic coating a newer Lexus RX 350 in Midnight Mica. All of our ceramic coating services include a paint enhancement using the Dr. Beasley's NSP primer polishes. Why do we use these primer polishes? Do they really replace a panel wipe? Watch this entire video to find out how to get the most out of these primer polishes from Dr. Beasley's.
Have you guys heard of this stuff? Dr. Beasley's NSP 45. If you're a regular on the channel, you have seen us use this product many times. We've been using it for the past 3 years, and we use it specifically for ceramic coated vehicles. Why? Let me show you the benefits of this product. So this Lexus RX came in for our 2-year ceramic coating. We're not doing a full paint correction because that's not what the customer is paying for. We are doing our paint enhancement, which means striving to get 50 to 75% of swirls, water spots, and paint defects. Now, we do have some swirling going on, and we also have some water spots to deal with, and we want to get the majority of that out. Now, you can just use your favorite polish or compound and do whatever you do in your detailing business to get the paint to an acceptable degree, whatever you and your customer had a conversation about and agreed to. So in this case, we're striving, like I said, for that 50 to 75% of swirls and water spots removed. So as we look from this side here over to this side that was just polished, we see a dramatic improvement. Increased clarity, gloss, and a 50% reduction in paint defects. And that's what we're achieving. Now again, this paint has, look, some paint chips. It's definitely a vehicle that the customer drives on a regular basis. So we can touch up those chips as much as possible to make it look better. But now the paint is looking incredible. This polish works as a medium to fine polish to remove light swirls and water spotting. And if you were doing a full paint correction and you wanted to use this as the primer or the finish polish and primer, that's what you can do. In fact, we have done that many times on other vehicles where we did do a full paint correction and then use this as the final polish and primer all in one step, which means no more panel wipes. We have a variety of panel wipes here that we still use for maybe glass and trim and wheels and things like that, but no more use for panel wipes on the paint. This takes its place. Now you might seem skeptical because we've been taught over the decades, you need to clear the panel. It needs to be panel wiped. It needs to be completely perfect, clean, bare paint before you put a ceramic coating because this is supposed to bond to the paint. While that is true and has been true, guys, technology changes. We have products now that create a better bond to the paint and a better bond for the ceramic coating to bond to the paint. It's not just sitting on top of this product, which is just sitting on top of the paint. Everything is bonding to each other. This bonds to the paint, this bonds to the paint that now has the bonded NSP 45 to it. Everything works synergetically, and it helps to actually make any ceramic coating bond better. You can use any ceramic coating. I'm using EXO today, but any ceramic coating, and we have tested it with Crystal Serum Light, with the Geon coatings. We've tested it with a variety of different coatings, and this outperforms just using a panel wipe alone, at least in our experiences. So let me go over how to use this product and some of the things to look for when using this. So once again, you can see the difference here. We have some of these light swirls going on, but you can really see how this scatters the light, makes the paint look hazy and swirled. And now, oh yeah, much better clarity. Again, you may be saying to yourself, I still see stuff. Yes. Remember what I said? Paint enhancement, not full paint correction. If you go any further than this, you're going into paint correction realm, and that's not what we're doing. So I know I have to keep repeating that because people see before and afters, and to them, to their eye, they don't like that. They want to see perfectly crystal clear, but that's not going to be reality with our customers. They don't need that. They're not paying for it. Now you also don't need to use a lot of this product. I only put 2 drops to kind of initially prime this pad. You do not overuse this product. I can't overemphasize that enough. If you overuse the product, you're going to hate the results. You're going to hate it. That's what I did when I first started using this product, and I did not like it at first until I started to understand how to use the product. And talking to Chris from Dr. Beasley's and Jim Lefebvre, I now understand how to use the product and some of the interesting things that may happen on the paint after you use this product, which is not hazing or micromarring. There does, with some paints and some temperatures, happen to be a residue or a cloudy film that may reappear on the paint after you wipe it down. And I'll explain what that is and how you don't have to worry about it. But it is something to keep in mind because in hot and humid temperatures, that's what happens. So after just 2 spots, you saw how big of a section I did, and you even saw how fast the hand movement was. I'm not doing paint correction, so I don't have to put pressure. I don't have to go super slow. Going that speed that you just saw was enough to cover a large area very quickly and get the results that I wanted. So I'm being fast and I'm being efficient with this product and with this technique or with this method. So now 1 drop is all I need for the rest of this 3rd section of the hood. Now, using the least amount of product is best in this case. No need to prime the pad, like I mentioned before. Now, you may think, well, aren't you going to get dry buffing? That's no longer a thing with these products, and I'll tell you why. They are highly lubricating. The technology in this product actually spreads out so thin and so nice. It has an extremely long working time. The lubricants in there are not going to interfere with the bonding of any coating. All of these lubricants in here are, again, working in connection with ceramic coatings. They are meant to prime the surfaces. No dry buffing, you don't have to worry about that. Lexus is notorious for being soft clear coat. We've worked on many Lexus vehicles. The darker colors can actually mar up pretty easy, even with sometimes a fine polish and a medium pad. But in this case, we're using a yellow Rupes pad, which isn't super fine, it's in the medium range, and we're using 45, which is their finest polish that they have. NSPs come in 3 grades. 45 is their finest, the 95 is the mid-grade, and then 150 is their compound, basically. All have the same priming attributes and lubrication attributes. So what you can do is actually switch up on the fly if you need a little bit more cutting power. Case in point, in this corner here, I actually had a little bit more water spots than the rest of the vehicle, and that's because of the windshield wipers. So the windshield wipers are going in this direction, and there's water splatter happening right in this area. This is where I see a majority of water spots. So it's from rainwater and dirt and grime and things like that that get onto the windshield, and the wipers swipe it across, and all those water spots land right here and dry on the paint. So I needed a little extra cut. So what do?
Mix them?
Mix them. That's all I did. The same pad, you don't need to blow it out every single time. I'm gonna blow it out after doing half the hood here, and then I'm going to continue with the fender and the doors and all of that. And blow it out, you know, every section. Like after I'm done with the fender and the door, I'll blow it out. When I'm done with that door and the rear fender, I'll blow it out. Because it's not building up so much junk in the pad that you have to blow it out every single time. And I know that's going to blow some people's minds because they work in an OCD way. In my world, the way that I'm working, that's what I'm experiencing. So all I did was mixed 1 drop of 150 onto the yellow pad and hit this area, and then just kind of did the rest, and it's completely fine. No marring, no issues at all. I just bump up the cut a little bit, and still, no panel wipe. It's still part of the priming system. I don't have to worry about that. Is some of it still gonna be in the pad? Yeah, but it's okay. I can go ahead and blow it out, and I'll still have some residual in there, but it's not going to mess up anything at all. This actually breaks down very, very fine. It's an awesome priming compound. Now, because the temperatures are cooler this time of year, it's the beginning of January, we're not dealing with heat and humidity, so I'm not seeing a ton of that residue that I usually see returning on the panel. What that residue is very interesting. All that residue is a tiny amount of vapor, of moisture. And I got this information from Jason Rose from Rupes because he's seen the same thing happen with Rupes Pure, which is kind of like a primer polish because you don't have to use a panel wipe with it. What it's doing is leaving the surface of the paint hydrophilic, which means that it actually attracts moisture, but not in the way that you think. It's not going to attract all this moisture to the paint where it's going to interfere with the coating. But what it's doing is leaving the surface so hydrophilic that any humidity in the air, the tiniest microscopic droplets of water, vapor basically, almost like a teeniest amount of mist, is actually attracted to the surface of the paint. Now you may think that's going to ruin the coating, right? No, it's not. It's a weird thing that happens, but it's so minute that it does not affect the coating. All you need to do is wipe it, apply the coating, wipe off the coating, you're done. None of that water vapor or that residue returns because you've changed the surface of the paint. You've added now the ceramic coating, which is now hydrophobic, and it's repelling the moisture. So that's what that is. There's no need to worry. It's not hazing, it's not micromarring, unless your paint is soft and it is micromarring, but that's completely different. Micromarring does not go away when you just wipe the paint. If you want a really good video of that, I will put a video in the card of this black Ferrari that we did, and the NSP polishes that we were using because it was in the summer. We're doing exactly that, and you will see what I mean and how we dealt with it.
Sometimes you need to increase the cut a little when you come across an area that needs a little bit more work. This driver's side rear door had a deeper scratch that stood out, so I added 1 drop of NSP 45 and 1 drop of NSP 150. Combined on the pad, they easily remove the swirls and that scratch.
Now I just hit this door here with a combination of NSP 45 with a tiny bit of 105. Mixing them like that gives me, oh sorry, 150, not 105, I'm thinking McGuire's. Doing that gives me the best of both worlds because it gives me the finishing power of 45, but the cutting power of 150. And 150 still finishes down very, very nicely. Now on soft clear coat like this, check out the results. No micromarring. The paint looks incredible. And whatever that scratch was here that you may have seen earlier, it took that right out, no problem. Every single vehicle that I've worked on with the NSP polishes, it just works. There might be some paint that I had to either change my technique up a little bit with the polisher, either go faster or go slower, or use less product, or whatever it may be. That's just minor adjustments that all detailers need to do when working on different vehicles just because of the variables involved. I can say with confidence that after using these products for a couple of years, they just work and the vehicles are coming back looking incredible. Go back and watch our maintenance details on ceramic coated vehicles that have been coated by us 2 years ago with the same process that we're doing now, and they are performing like day one. And it was Crystal Serum Light is what we're using for most of those coating jobs. Some EXO, some other Vonex products, or some Geon products, but mostly either EXO or Crystal Serum Light. You might see here a little bit of what looked like swirls, and it's not. It's residue that is coming back. It's doing it slightly on this side, mainly because of some of the heat. These lights up here and up here produce a lot of heat, and they actually warm up the panel. When the panel starts to get a little warm and the humidity starts to build in here, that's when I start to see a little bit of that residue start forming on the paint, and that's what we're seeing. So again, not a problem. We'll wipe it down, and then you can really see the clarity of the paint, and if it comes back, if that residue comes back, you can kind of see it starting to form a little bit. It looks like it's just smeariness, and sometimes it just looks like a film. It's okay. Leave it alone until you're ready to coat. Wipe it down with a separate towel, coat it, do your regular coating application and removal, and you will see a big difference. You will see that that goes away completely because it's changing the surface tension on the panel.
The rear section of the Lexus in glass had a lot of water spots. Fortunately, the water spots were not too severe. The NSP GL, which is their glass polish, a microfiber disc, and the 3-inch ShineMate polisher made easy work of it. And there were some areas at the edge of the glass that I needed to hand polish.
Now you also may be wondering, what about glass? What about the pillars, the black sensitive soft plastic? Does it work well on that? Why am I not taping off all of the trim? How does it affect plastics? Good questions. The reason why I'm not taping anything and I'm not worried about anything is because these products, again, are new formulations. They are not like old style compounds and polishes that stain trim or damage trim or cause issues on anything. They work on all surfaces. They're not going to leave the trim white. It's not going to dry it out. It's not going to damage anything. And I'm not doing heavy cutting. So even if the pad bumps up against this rubber or this plastic or this trim here, it's not causing any damage. I'm not putting pressure. I'm not heavy cutting. So I am not concerned about it. I'm not worried. If you want to tape up those areas because you feel compelled to, that's totally fine. From our years of experience, we realize that a lot of that is unnecessary unless you're doing heavy cutting. So the lesson is taping only depends on what you're doing to the vehicle. And if this was sensitive rubber, if it was already starting to rot away or anything like that because of neglect, that would be different. Then I would tape up sections. And sometimes taping dry, rotting rubber is not good, because when you pull the tape, it actually pulls the pieces of the rubber. I've had that happen. So be smart. Think through these problems and come up with reasonable solutions. Don't just copy what you see people doing on YouTube because you love them or you value their opinion or you think that they're the best or whatever. Don't do that. Don't box yourself in with rules and commands from other types of detailers that may tell you you need to always do this. That's a law or command that's really not based on logic. It's only based on obsession. That's all it is. So think through every single case. Whatever the vehicle needs, that's what you do to it. So if this was sensitive rubber, I would have done something else. I would have just not gone up to it. Or I would have taped over it and created like a bubble with the tape so as not to damage it or anything like that. But at that point, you would have had the conversation with the customer saying, this is sensitive rubber, it needs to be replaced. It's going to get damaged. Even washing it, it might blow off chunks of the rubber. I've had that happen as well. So many different variables, many things to think about, and you as a detailer need to analyze and come up with solutions that work and don't just copy what you see. So these products work incredibly well on all surfaces. We don't have to worry about staining. We don't have to worry about any of that because this is new technology.
I want to take a minute to mention that you obviously didn't see the wash and decon process. No worries, we have hundreds of videos about that. But we did want to show you this little undercarriage washer. It's actually reversible. It can be used as a driveway cleaner, or in this case, a great way to clean the underside of your vehicle. I'll have links down below.
So we're on to polishing the glass to get rid of these water spots. And as you can see, we just did this side with the NSP GL, which is the glass primer polish. An incredible cutting glass polish. When used with appropriate pads, it's pad dependent. When used with a cutting pad, I was just using a microfiber disc. That's all that's needed. But you can use a rayon disc or something that really cuts heavy water spots on the glass, and it performs incredibly well. But as you can see, that distinct line in the middle there that I showed you, this side, completely water spot free. Any other coatings or protection or whatever was on the glass before is gone. It strips the glass completely clean, and I'm using a damp towel, which is not going to interfere with the priming aspect, because really what it's doing is just completely cleaning the surface and leaving nothing behind at all. If I were to just dry wipe it, it would still be kind of smeary, and you can coat right over that and it's okay. But I do want to wipe it down with a damp towel to make sure that the water spots are gone in that case, because it's kind of hard to see through the heavy smearing. It has a ton of lubrication, so it has a long polishing cycle. And again, paired with the right pad, it can cut glass incredibly well. Mike Phillips, who is now with Dr. Beasley's, demonstrates how he sands glass and then cuts it using the new NSP GL glass polish. Incredible stuff. I use it just for water spot removal and prepping the glass for ceramic coatings. So Wifey is working on this side, polishing all the glass, removing the water spots. I'm going to continue to cut this side of the glass and get all those water spots removed. Alexa, continue. So we're coating now with my second favorite coating ever, G-Technic XO V5. This is the new version. This applies exactly like Crystal Serum Light. It's identical. I almost think it is Crystal Serum Light relabeled. I'm just joking. I don't really know. But it definitely applies just like Crystal Serum Light. So easy. It does that sweating thing. It's very, very visualizing. What's the word? You see it. There's a visual attribute to the actual flashing off point of this coating. So it's very easy to work with. Extremely slick. Under the towel, it's awesome stuff. Now I don't think I'm going to be able to show you in this vehicle. Well, maybe I can. I can kind of see residue returning. So let me do something here. I'm actually going to go straight up the middle of the hood. That way I can see if I get a good 50-50 here. And priming the pad, I just did kind of a circle, a little oval with a line through it. That was pretty much it. The rest of it, just one little line like that. That's all you need. No need to over apply the coating onto the applicator. I butterfly it, spreads it out nicely. And I'm just gonna go right down the middle and kind of box out where I'm going to apply the coating, overlapping into the section that I just coated. You don't have to crosshatch. I'm just doing it because I can see it clearly here and I want to make sure that I have a nice, even coverage. You can go in circular motions too. That's completely fine. You can see how the coating is applied here. In a minute, you'll see it start to separate. And what some people call sweat, because it kind of makes these little beads. The ends here at the edges, you can kind of see how it's these long beads, long lines of beads. You can quicken it along with just your towel by waving it and just causing some air movement. It helps to evaporate the solvent within the coating, and you can see it right away. It starts to flash away like this. This is what you're looking for this particular coating. Now, removal is very easy. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. Whoa. Dang it! Did I just ruin this? Yep, I did. New towel. It literally slid off. Now I still have a long working time. I had to replace my towel because it slid off the section of paint here.
Whoa.
It was so slick, it slid off and hit the floor. That towel is done. Fresh new towel. Wipe off is just so easy. I just go in small circular motions, go around the perimeter, go up the middle, and then I'll finish it off with like long motions like that. Then I pull out the second towel, like so, and go back over it again. This time extending the borders, going way over the borders into the section that I just previously coated to make sure that it's not pushing the coating. I'll even go into it, maybe a foot or more, totally fine. I'm wiping up any excess. Flashes away perfectly clear. Now here's where you may see the difference. So that looks like swirls. It's not. It's just a little bit of the residue, making it look hazy. And that's where the haze idea comes from. But it's not micromarring or swirls. It's just the residue, making it look a little smeary. The minute we go into the coated section, that disappears. You're seeing just little imperfections in the paint. That's all. That haziness or that smearing or that residue goes away. So you really see it here, and you can see a clear line. It actually makes the paint look deeper here, deeper and richer in color. While here it still looks, you're like, well, it still swirls. No, it's not. It's just the residue causing that illusion. So that's something that you have to contend with the polish. So it's not that big of a deal. I know some people are not going to like it and they just want the more traditional, coating application. They don't want to have to mess with that residue, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I've learned to work with it and it's great. It's the only polish I use now for ceramic coatings, especially for priming, and I rarely ever use any other polish for ceramic coatings anymore. You can see that I did a pretty large section here. It's maybe 4 feet by 2 feet. I'm really stretching it out, and that's totally fine. I don't know why some people say don't stretch out the coating like that. It's going to be weaker, so on and so forth. I have never found that to be the case, and I have coatings going past their 2-year mark and still looking incredible. So you can start to see it flash away. This does have a long working time as well. It's pretty forgiving. And you really feel the slickness under the towel once you do that final wipe. It is so satisfying. And you can feel it against the uncoated paint. Now, one more thing that I forgot to mention when we were polishing is you may go through quite a few towels because the NSP polishes kind of build up a residue in your towels. So when wiping it off, you're going to want at least 2 towels, maybe even 3. And your first towel will be the bulk of the removal. Second towel, again, remove a little bit more, and the third towel just to kind of finish it up. again, it's just part of the process with those primer polishes. It builds up residue in the towels. Now, another question I may get is, will that leave the towels crunchy if you let them dry or don't wash them right away? No, they don't. In fact, I never really even thought about that, and I never had a problem with towels being crunchy after using the NSP polishes. Sometimes after coatings like this, if I don't wash the towels right away, yes, they will become crunchy. But with the NSP polishes, no, not a problem at all. Now, I reserve the NSP polishes for coatings only. They are not really going to work well with ceramic spray coatings or ceramic spray sealants, at least not what I have found. Maybe some can get away with a ceramic spray coating if it is a true type of spray coating with, a pretty heavy solvent and heavy solids, and it really does work like a true coating, maybe like Geon Can Coat. That I think you can get away with it. With Can Coat, I'm not worried about using panel wipes or primers because I consider it a 6 to 12 month year coating, and usually I just polish it, maybe use a damp towel, just a damp wet towel, and that's it, and then coat right over it. But for true coatings like this, it's different. Now here's another question you may have. How does this work on PPF? You can definitely use it over PPF. I have. All you need is the NSP 45, the fine polish, and an orange or even just the softest pad that you have. A black pad, blue pad, whatever is, your soft pad, and use that with NSP 45. You don't have to be aggressive with it at all because it's PPF. All you have to do is just buzz over the surface, wipe it off, and coat right over it. Not a problem. It's very easy. Now, you don't necessarily have to do that with PPF because you could just use a gentle panel wipe and go over it and coat it. So if it's a good quality PPF, it's going to be swirl and scratch resistant anyway. You don't have to worry about removing swirls. All you're doing is prepping the surface. So with that, it's totally up to you. So for PPF or matte and satin paint or vinyl, then you can just use a panel wipe and it's easy. Now, how about vinyl itself, like graphics or stripes or things like that are on the vehicle? So you can go right over it. If it's glossy, you can go right over it with the NSP 45 or 150 or 95. Now, I didn't use 95, but that's their mid-grade, and I chose the 150 over the 95 because I actually like the consistency of the 150 over the 95. The 95 is a little bit thicker and sometimes can be harder to wipe off. So I rarely use 95. I go from 45 to 150. Those are the only two that I really use on a regular basis. And 95 I don't use as much, only if the paint calls for it and nothing else is quite responding correctly, and then maybe I'll use that, and sometimes it works great. So it's weird, just take into consideration the variables, and sometimes you use something that doesn't work the majority of the time, and then just that one time it works. That's detailing for you. Now, hold on just a moment before you go any further, before you skip the video or do anything. I am going to use a glass coating, and you want to stick around for this one. I'm using a new glass coating from Naziol. Repackaged, I think it's reformulated as well. It's so easy to use. But for the rear and the windshield, I'm going to use a specific glass coating, especially for this Lexus in the rear because it got water spotted pretty bad. So it's susceptible to it, but stick around for that. Now, I usually do the windshield first before I do the paint. I got caught up and totally forgot to prep the windshield, to polish it. But no worries, I can still do that. This doesn't create any dust, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm wearing an apron here, so if I do lean up against the paint, it's not a big deal. I'll have a clean towel to just wipe anything down if there's any residue. What I'm going to do is use this Eurofiber pad for the glass because I do want some cutting action. I'm not worried about haze or anything on the glass, so that's not a problem at all, or leaving micro marring. I'm going to use the GL from Dr. Beasley's and prep the glass. I do see some water spots here, so I am going to concentrate on those, but prep the rest of the glass with this polish. Now you may be wondering what this little polisher is. This is the ShineMate. Its comparison, I guess, or competition if you want to call it that, is the Flex PXC80. And this is called the ShineMate EB210. This is really cool because it has the quick connect options and it comes with all the different accessories, just like the Flex. Different form factor. The battery here is different. And the turning on function is also different, which I kind of like this one better. I'm not comfortable with the Flex push button thing. I always have a problem with it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just weird thumbs. I don't know. But this is nice. You turn it on from this button on the top. You can adjust the speed here. And you also have a little LED light, which doesn't really do anything for me. There's a trigger down here that is not a pressure trigger. It's just an electronic trigger. You double tap it twice and it turns on, and then you tap it again and it turns off. So 2 times, and then 1 time to shut it off. That's all. So I don't think one is better than the other. Whether you like the Flex, or you like this, or you like the SPTA, I don't really have a preference necessarily. The SPTA has actually kind of died on me, so I wasn't really happy with that. The other SPTA polishers that we have, the 5-inch ones, have been running strong for years. Whether it's this or the Flex, I would say these 2 options are the best options out there right now, my opinion, because I have both of them and I've been using them, and I will use them interchangeably. I don't think one is better than the other. It's just personal choice. One has different attributes than the other, so it's kind of nice that you have choices. You can kind of choose which one you want to use. Personally, I like the buttons and the triggers on this one better, but I like the quick connect on the Flex better than this quick connect. Pros and cons, both are great. It's just personal choice. So with the windshield and the rear glass prepped fully, here's the coating. Naziol Glass Shield. And the bottle itself is actually sitting upside down. Why? Because in the directions it actually says to. It seals the bottle and it doesn't allow stuff to dry on the top of the bottle, which is kind of cool. Now, one thing that I want to point out is how much ceramic coating I actually used. This bottle of EXO is a 50 ml bottle. It was about halfway full when I started. I had used already half of it on another vehicle, and I just finished this vehicle and I just have a little amount left, enough to do a hood or a front end or something like that. So I got 2 vehicles and a little bit of extra out of one 50 ml bottle. That's pretty awesome. So you do not need to overuse coatings. I don't care what anyone says. I have proved it for myself, and I think you should too. Use the minimal amount and you can stretch it out on the panel. I keep hearing people say that you shouldn't do that. It's thinning the coating out too much and you won't get the durability from it. If you can prove that, fine. But I've seen it in the real world, in my real world. I've experienced the coatings exactly the way that I apply it with the Dr. Beasley's NSP polishes and the way that I apply the coatings, and they are performing perfectly, exactly the way that they should. So if you can prove otherwise somehow, I don't know how you can really prove otherwise, other than just putting on a car, on your own car and testing it and seeing what it does the way that I do it. But then again, are you in my demographic? Are you in my area with my climate and all of that? Think of all the variables, comes into play. So you can't really 100% prove it in a scientific way because of the variables. So if it works for you, great. If it doesn't mean that it wouldn't work for somebody else. I have coatings that are doing extremely well, but other people say that, oh, it only lasted 6 months or it only lasted a year. Crystal Serum Light or EXO, people saying that those coatings will only last a year or two. And that's not true at all. I have a vehicle right now that is already past the 2-year mark, and I put EXO V4 on it, not even the new one, because this only came out about a year ago. And it's already exceeded the 2-year mark and still looking pretty good. I can see that it's starting to break down after 2 years, so already past its durability range. That's why I can say I've proved it for myself. I have cars out there, I got customers' vehicles out there that we've put coatings on, and they're performing as they should. So on with this coating. I actually have some towels on a roll here. This one was actually from the Fiber Factory, and I never got to do a video on it, so I apologize about that, guys. But this is pretty cool. So these towels are not meant for paint. Do not use these on the paint. They're way too thin. They are not designed for paint. They're designed for other things. They're great for glass. They're great for interiors. They're great for maybe door jambs or other little things, but they're very, very thin, which is totally fine because they're kind of considered throwaway type towels. Now I picked up this one, the rag of rolls from Auto Fiber, and actually from Car Supplies Warehouse. Any of this stuff here I'll have linked down to either Car Supplies Warehouse, Amazon, Carzilla, any other places that I can find, stuff. And I'll have that link down below. But if you do shop at Car Supplies Warehouse, enter code Miranda10, you'll get 10% off. So the thickness of this towel, oh, it's actually a little bit thicker. That's nice. So this one was sent to me a while ago, and I think Fiber Factory has probably upgraded their towels already. This was kind of like a test roll. So it doesn't matter where you get it from. The gray ones here from Auto Fiber are nice. They're actually pretty thick, and I actually would use these on the paint. If you feel what these towels feel like, they actually feel like these towels that I use for the coating the coating wipe off. Almost identical. I'm impressed. Tiny little towel. Great for glass cleaning, great for interiors, and just kind of odd jobs. The fact that it comes on a roll is pretty cool. I think I want to put this under here, just like that. With this glass coating, here are some of the things to keep in mind. It does come with a mini trigger, but it's a one-time use. Unless you can rinse it out, but sometimes if it sits there for weeks or months, it gets crunchy and it kind of kills the trigger. So what I do is I buy these little finger pump triggers on Amazon. They're super cheap. They come in a big package. I'll put links down below. Fits perfectly on this bottle. The only thing you have to do is trim the straw. Or maybe not trim it completely because it can actually curl in the bottle. It's totally fine. So I cut it just enough so it will kind of curve in the bottle. Oh, that's perfect. That couldn't be any better. So application is extremely easy and straightforward. Spray it on the towel. I'm going to do it off screen because I don't want to get any mist on glass or paint. You can hear I sprayed a couple of pumps on here, enough to kind of prime that surface, and then simply go over the entire windshield. It evaporates almost immediately, which I like because it's just super easy application. Easy on, easy off. That's it. If you need a little bit more, if you feel like it evaporated too fast and you didn't get it all, don't worry about it. It's spreading. You just may not see it right away, but it is spreading. But so far, I love these towel on a roll ideas. This is awesome. All the different towel companies, I think, are going to start to do this and just improve the quality of your towels on the roll itself. Find the perfect balance of thickness and plushness without going too thin or too thick. Man, that is so easy. I love it. Now this bottle will last you a long time because it's such a tiny amount that you're misting onto the towel and using on the glass. This will, I don't know, maybe 20, 25, maybe 50 cars. If you're just doing the windshield, you can probably get away with 50 cars. Amazing value. Charge your customer appropriately, whatever you see fit. This is a 2-year coating. You can charge up to $200 for just the windshield alone as an add-on with your detailing service. Great for mobile detailers because you can use this outdoors. It's not a problem. You do want dry weather for the next, I'd say at least 12 hours, but 12 to 24 hours to be safe. But usually with mobile detailing, you can do that. Just plan accordingly and you will be fine. But basically wipe it on, work it in, it evaporates, works really well with the Dr. Beasley's NSP glass polish. No residue at all. So my thoughts on the towel on a roll idea. Towel companies continue to do this. It's a great idea. Man, what a nice combo. If you want this combo right here, just these two things can make you a lot of money. The towels and the glass coating. Prep your glass however you want. Whatever you want to do as far as polishing it or just wiping it down with a panel wipe, whatever you want. If the glass is in good condition and doesn't have water spots or it's brand new, just panel wipe it and apply this coating. No problem. And again, it's a 2-year coating. Charge appropriately for it, or build it into your ceramic coating packages, or run a special for fall into winter or during winter and use a windshield coating like this. You've seen me use other glass coatings before and they work incredibly well. Geon has one, G-Technic has one. I use those predominantly. Now that I have a bottle of this will last me a long time. So you'll see it on the channel often. And with this bottle, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw away this trigger because it's done. It's not going to work again. I've already tested it. Spray the rest into the bottle. Clean the edges if you want. Cap it nice and tight. Store it upside down.